Evening, everybody, and welcome to Matrix TV News, your weekly reality adjustment, or as we like to call it around here, your weekly kick in the pants.
And joining us tonight is Catherine Albrecht, who on her second appearance here on the show is going to be talking about the Real ID Act, those new chips in the driver's licenses, and much more.
And first-time guest Sonia Barrett talks to us on the government of the Matrix, asking the question, are we actually living in a hologram? On to the news. Believe it or not, there's a bill waiting to be passed in the House under the name of H.R. 875 that will make it illegal to grow organic food, grow some tomatoes, or have a chicken coop. Trouble is, the legislation is so broad in its wording that somebody with a little backyard garden could receive a $25,000 fine and have their property seized, even if only they consume what they grow.
Bill H.R. 875 will literally put all independent farmers and mom-and-pop food producers out of business due to the huge amounts of money it will take to conform to factory farming methods. And if people continue to farm without chemical pesticides and toxic fertilizers, they will be subject to a variety of harassment from a completely new agency that has never before existed. That's right, just what we need. A whole new government agency is being created just to police your backyard food. It's for your own protection, though, of course.
Section 103 of the bill also allows the appointing of so-called officials from factory farming corporations and even allows them to write the legislation, including the legal right to inspect your backyard. For those that remember history, Russia's Joseph Stalin nationalized farming methods that enabled his administration to gain control over the country's food supply, ultimately using food to control the people. If you'd like to learn more, just Google H.R. 875 and be sure to contact your representative and let them know how you despise this bill.
According to the Anti-Defamation League, Joe Bannister, Dave Von Kleist, who's been on the show, Jack McLam, and Ted Gunderson are now considered extremist speakers. Joe Bannister is a former top IRS agent who states that there is no law requiring Americans to pay income tax. Dave Von Kleist, of course, is a radio talk show host who produced the riveting documentary 911 in Plain Sight.
And Jack McLam is an award-winning former policeman and Vietnam vet. Ted Gunderson is a former FBI agent and Oklahoma City bombing researcher who's tired of government lies. But according to the Anti-Defamation League, opposing income taxes, spreading conspiracy theories, and distrust of the government are now on par with racism, hate crimes, and anti-Semitism.
The ADL's campaign to portray tax protesters, sovereign seekers, and 911 activists as racists dovetailed with a House Homeland Security Subcommittee hearing on terrorism and the Internet. The hearing, chaired by Democratic Representative Jane Harman, a sponsor of the Violent Radicalization and Homegrown Terrorism Prevention Act recently passed by the House, now puts anyone who questions the government or speaks out in public against policy in the same boat with Muslim jihadists.
Well, are you sitting down? Baxter International, an Illinois-based pharmaceutical company, was caught shipping live avian flu viruses mixed with vaccines to 18 countries last week. Of course, health officials are asking how this could be, as it can't happen by accident. Why? Because Baxter International adheres to Biosafety Level 3. That's a set of safety protocols that prevent the cross-contamination of materials, which means it was done purposely.
So what was Baxter doing mixing live avian flu viruses, both H5N1 and H3N2, which is the human form, with standard flu vaccine material? And who authorized it? The tainted vaccines were received by labs in a number of Eastern European countries, and some are wondering whether the contamination was part of a deliberate attempt to start a pandemic. The avian flu virus on its own has killed hundreds of people, but when combined with ordinary flu viruses, which are easily spread, the effect is a potent, super airborne, super deadly biological weapon with a 60% plus kill rate.
And check this out. On the same day the story broke, officials at the National Emergency Management Summit released a statement saying it was no longer an if issue, but when there would be an avian flu pandemic. One can only wonder if they knew what was going on at Baxter. And in a chilling hint of what's planned to deal with a pandemic, whether it's natural or man-made, health officials say it's important for all citizens to be prepared for the possibility of being quarantined for months at a time.
Buried on page 232 of the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009 are the words Smart Grid. And if you haven't a clue what it is, pay close attention here. Smart Grid is connected to the National Animal Identification System, which you've heard us talk about us on this show. And both programs are designed specifically to spy on American citizens.
Even more disturbing than these government intrusions into our lives is the fact that the Obama administration feels that Smart Grid is so important that it had to be funded in the stimulus package, which is supposed to be used for emergencies only. So what is going on? And what's the big emergency? Why does Smart Grid need to be implemented within 60 days of the bill passing?
Smart Grid is part of a global initiative to manage information, all information. This is not some dire fictional prediction. It exists right now, right here in the United States. To the untrained eye, the Smart Grid is about energy efficiency. However, this intelligent power grid gathers information about people via sensors in transmission lines in homes and businesses.
Smart Grid will allow the government to collect information about you, about your habits, possessions. All they need are a few remote sensors to know what's in your refrigerator, how long you spend in the bathroom, for goodness sakes, if you smoke, if you drink alcohol, and how many people are in your home or business at any one given time. Science fiction? Think again.
And the companies behind it? Why, none other than GE and IBM. As a matter of fact, their very existence is now dependent on gathering and assembling this information on us worker bees for Big Brother. Remember, President Obama believes implementing Smart Grid is urgent. He wants the program to expand quickly with all of us on the grid by 2012. That is all of us.
All right, when we return from the break, another story about the American education system and how we rate, and it's pretty low.